Alright, guys. I'm just testing here to see. Guys. Alright, sounds like I'm live. Alright, so getting everything ready for my streaming. This is Hurricane Ida is deadly serious. This is basically what it is. Hurricane Ida is deadly serious. Doing this live stream because I know a lot of people could hear the video on later on, but if you catch the live stream now, that's cool. Alright, so pretty much we have Hurricane Ida headed for Louisiana. As you see here, Hurricane Ida coming right off of Cuba, starting right in the Gulf as a strong storm. Could be a Category 4 on landfall if it's pushing it and the rocket fuel from the warmth of the Gulf actually absorbs really well into the storm and strengthens it. It could be a Category 5. And that's danger zone right there. You ever heard of Twister talking about a EF5 tornado? Well, we're playing with the big leagues now. This is a Category possible 5 hurricane. And this means lives. It means lives are in danger. And this is very serious. Prayers. I have the Bible verse. Let's start with the Bible verse we have. dailyverses.net. Bible verses about patience. Whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quickly tempered displays folly. Proverbs 14:29. Alright, so I'm going to pray a little bit for everybody ahead of the storm. I pray for the people in Cuba and the people in Jamaica who went through this storm. Please, God, protect and watch over the people in Louisiana and Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas who are going to be closer to the storm, and the people who have boats in the area, and the people who are behind the storm because this storm is so strong. Possibility of over 150-mile-an-hour winds well inland is pretty spooky, and I'm praying for everybody. Please, God, protect them, watch over them, all the people who have pets and have elderly people with them and have children. Please protect them and watch over them as we go into the storm. We know that we're in a COVID-ravaged land, and hospitals are at full capacity in many areas, and this hurricane is only going to exacerbate that. So please, God, protect and watch over the hospitals and the nurses and the people getting ready to evacuate this possible very dangerous storm. Thank you, God, for everything. Please protect and watch over us all. Amen. Alright, so we have recent missions from the aircraft reconnaissance. This page is showing their aircraft positioning as they scanned the storm over to check the intensity and the barometric pressure, sea level pressure, and everything as they flew across the storm. You see here it shows how they flew into the storm and the areas that they scanned over Cuba, and here to show an image of the full mission as they flew over Ida. So this is a serious storm, guys. I mean, it doesn't get any more serious than like a possible Category 5 hurricane. This storm is very serious. So if you live in the area of Louisiana, please make sure if you live even close to the shore, please make sure you evacuate. This is so serious. If you're having doubts, have either neighbors or friends try to help you, especially if you have elderly people, children, or pets. Please don't forget to take your pets with you. Pets are very important. They're family, just like everybody else. There's so many pets being left behind in these past storms that I've covered that it just kind of, I like try to push it, so you guys can have it in the back of your mind. This is a serious storm, and it may not look like nothing right now, but once it gets to Category 4, Category 5, it could rival Katrina, I mean, weeks without power, flooding, you know, damage plus COVID and power outages for people who need oxygen that are in the ICUs. It's gonna be one heck of a disaster. We need to get together as people in our hearts, go to God, and to pretty much help each other out, help your neighbor, because this storm is gonna be serious. All right. Also, we have two systems. You see here, we have Ida here, and Laura over here. Um, in the Pacific, so this is going to be heading right here into the peninsula right here of Mexico. So it's going to be a double striking storm. It's going to be back-to-back strikes. It's going to be Ida into Louisiana and Laura into the Mexican peninsula right here. So it's going to be bam bam, two shots. It's going to be quite intense. Alright, let's take a look at the Atlantic wide. We have possibility of more storm systems coming off of Africa. You see here, you see disturbance here. Hopefully it stays low in the 10-degree north parallel right here. I hope it stays low and it goes into South America and does not go into the Caribbean and possibly affect the Caribbean islands or Florida, because we have enough on our plate. But here also a high one, you see up here off of Africa, a higher degree on the 20 parallel line north, a little bit northern than this storm down here. So it's a more northern storm could cause more trouble unless it hooks it here in the Atlantic and goes out to sea and becomes a fish storm. But if it does not become a fish storm, this storm right here has more danger than this lower one, because this lower one could go into South America and fall apart and break here. But if the higher one goes out into the Caribbean, that's another game changer. So even though we have Ida right off of Cuba, we have these other storms that we have to keep an eye on as we are keeping an eye on the Atlantic. Alright, next. This is Ida coming off of Cuba. As you see, there's pulses. It pulses in like waves, and then it intensifies as it gets into the Gulf waters. The Gulf waters are basically rocket fuel because of the temperatures of the water. That's what gives strength to a hurricane, is the warm waters. So as you see here, Ida is looking like a shrimp. This is a perfect classic example of what a good hurricane is gonna start looking like. A possibility of an eye forming in this area. So it is developing rather well. It is intensifying is the word. It is gonna be one heck of a doozy if it does intensify really strongly and smack Louisiana and Alabama right in the face. It's gonna be quite a disaster. So please take it seriously. This is serious life and death situation. Being a storm watcher kind of rattles your bones sometimes, because you have so much that you have to watch out for, and you have to give out warnings to people. Hey guys, there's this coming, and sometimes the storms don't even cause that much damage. Like I was talking about the storm that was headed for the New England area. I was like, hopefully it falls apart. Hopefully it falls apart, and it kind of did fall apart a bit. It wasn't as strong as it was set out to be. Hopefully this one is not as strong as it's set out to be, but it pretty much is being forecasted to be a really major storm, and it could hurt a lot of people. So it's time to get in gear and start preparing. Start getting sandbags, start getting boards to board your homes. If you can get out now, because this is going to be a serious storm. Alright, here's more storm systems possibly coming off of Africa. Like I was talking about the 20 degree north line right here that this storm is pretty much closer to. Could be something else to keep an eye out. Alright. This is Hurricane Ida. This is the track model. This is the cone of possibility. Here we have hurricane status, then major hurricane by 8 a.m. on Saturday, 8 a.m. on Sunday, major hurricane, 8 p.m. on Sunday, major hurricane, as it makes landfall onto the Louisiana coast, 8 a.m. on Monday, a storm. So the majority of the storm will be downgraded once it's well inland into Louisiana and Mississippi. And 8 p.m. on Monday, a storm, and then a depression as it goes over Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Mississippi at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. A depression as it travels over Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, North Carolina, and Virginia. This is going to be traveling inland and bringing a lot of rain. So heads up to these states as well: West Virginia, Ohio, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Arkansas, and parts of Missouri. It's going to be quite interesting bringing all that rain into the area. Okay, let's take a look at the Gulf of Mexico. Could be bringing fuel for Ida, causing it to quickly get much stronger. Like I was saying, this is straight from the horse's mouth, the Weather Channel. It's going to be quite interesting. It could reach Category 3. It could even reach Category 4 or 5. That's one of the things about quickly intensifying storms as it gets closer to land. There's one of the things about storms these days because of climate change. It could intensify much quicker once it gets closer to land, and it could possibly reach Category 5 status. They're saying it could possibly reach Category 4, but if it reaches land, it could possibly be Category 5. Alright, here are the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities for the next 120 hours. Look at the cone of winds out into Texas, out into the panhandle of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, the Gulf, parts of Cuba. This whole area is going to be affected by tropical storm force winds. It's going to be quite serious, guys, so be prepared. Alright. Let's take a look at key messages for Hurricane Ida. Life-threatening storm surge and hurricane conditions are expected to continue for the next few hours in portions of western Cuba, including the Isle of Youth, where a hurricane warning is in effect. Life-threatening heavy rains, flash flooding, and mudslides are expected across Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and western Cuba, including the Isle of Youth. There is a danger to life-threatening storm surge inundation Sunday along the coast of Louisiana and Mississippi within the storm surge warning area. Extreme life-threatening inundation from 10 to 15 feet above ground level is possible within the area from Morgan City, Louisiana to the mouth of the Mississippi River. So guys, again, 10 to 15 feet ground level flooding is possible. It says the area from Morgan City, Louisiana to the mouth of the Mississippi River. Interest throughout the warning area should follow any advice given by local officials. Ida is expected to be extremely dangerous major hurricane when it reaches the coast of Louisiana. Hurricane force winds are expected Sunday in portions of the hurricane warning area along the Louisiana coast, including metropolitan New Orleans, with potentially catastrophic wind damage possible where the core of Ida moves onshore. Actions to protect life and property should be rushed to completion in the warning area. This is serious, guys. It is possibly a very extremely dangerous major hurricane. Actions to protect life and property should be rushed to completion. Alright, Ida is likely to produce heavy rainfall later Sunday into Monday across central Gulf Coast from southeast Louisiana to central Mississippi and Alabama, resulting in considerable flash urban, small stream, and riverine flooding impacts. As Ida moves inland, flooding impacts are possible across portions of the lower Mississippi and Tennessee valleys. Alright, guys. Here are the peak storm surge forecast graphics. These are the storm surge 10 to 15 feet by Morgan City, 6 to 9 feet storm surge coming in. Pecan Island, 3 to 5 feet. Sabine Pass, 2 to 4 feet. Mouth of the Mississippi River from 10 to 15 feet to 7 to 11 feet, depending if you're on the southern part or the eastern part. Lake Pontchartrain, 4 to 7 feet. Lake Muir Pass, 3 to 5 feet of flooding. Ocean Springs, 4 to 7 feet of storm surge. Mobile Bay, 2 to 4 feet. And the Alabama-Florida border right there. So it's going to be quite dangerous. It says the combination of dangerous storm surge and the tide will cause normally dry areas near the coast to be flooded by rising waters moving inland from the shoreline. The water could reach the following heights above ground somewhere within the indicated areas of the peak storm surge at the time of high tide. The deepest water will occur along the immediate coast near the landfall location, where the surge will be accompanied by large and distinctive waves. Surge-related flooding depends on the relative timing of the surge and the tidal cycle, and can vary greatly over short distances. So if you're anywhere along the shoreline, it is very dangerous because of flooding. And if you remember Hurricane Katrina, you remember that flooding was so intense, people were just stuck on roofs. They were needing rescue because the flooding was so intense and it lasted a very long time. So guys, this is no joke. Very serious. The flooding and storm surge that's going to be coming in. Alright. Let's take a look at the track. This is Hurricane Ida model track guidance from Cuba. It is the track shows the possibility of it going mostly towards the Louisiana, New Orleans area, and it will hook once it's inland over Mississippi and Tennessee, and possibly go into Missouri. That's one of the model track shows, but we don't know yet. That's too far ahead in the forecast to see if it will make a left hook or if it will make a right hook. But here is where these models show the possible track of Ida. Alright. Alright, this is Ida right now. Still showing that shrimp shape that is really well formed storm. Just the feeling I get from looking at it, it's like it's gonna cause a lot of life loss. So I'm just trying to get as much warning out there as I can, so people can have a heads up, be prepared, and either get out of the way or hunker down and try to survive the best you can. Remember, possible weeks without power. Not, oh, it's a couple of days. No, it's weeks without power. Possibly where this hurricane lands. Alright. Here's a GOES star satellite showing the Ida coming right off Cuba. So please pray for people in Cuba right now. They're also experiencing this storm just in the beginnings of it. They're not even getting a Category 4 or a 5 storm yet. They're getting a Category 1 storm. So flooding and mudslides for them are totally possible in their area of Cuba. Alright, let's take a look at the Cypher Simpson hurricane wind scale. A Category 3 hurricane is 111 to 129 miles per hour. That could really damage a home. That's just a Category 3. That could really damage a home. That could hit roofs, you know, take roofs off, flip cars, and cause a lot of flooding and damage. A Category 4, this is what they're possibly forecasting for it. 130 mile an hour winds to 156 mile an hour winds. That's on the high scale of a 4. And that's really bad. I mean, that's like, yeah, the towns could be wiped out if this hurricane hits just right. This is a really dangerous storm. And a possible Category 5 is 157 mile-an-hour winds or higher, which is really intense, and you don't know if it's going to be a 5 or not until we get closer to it making landfall, and it possibly could intensify to a Category 5, and that is just a disaster zone. That's going to be a disaster for anybody that's in the way of that. Alright, let's go to Twitter. We have the National Hurricane Center, Hurricane Ida, Advisory 7. Ida now entering the Gulf. It says also from Reed Timmer, latest official track is still very similar, but just a slight nudge to the east with a Category 4 hurricane. Ida landfall Sunday evening, just southwest of Yuma, Louisiana. Likely most areas along the south of Highway I-10 near east of center of Louisiana will be underwater. Tomorrow is evacuation day. So that's from Reed Timmer saying people get out, because it's either get out or risk your life. That's pretty much the game. It's going to be quite dangerous. Okay, Terrebonne Parish orders mandatory evacuation ahead of Hurricane Ida. We are the bullseye. Terrebonne Parish orders mandatory evacuation ahead of Hurricane Ida. We worked 17 years building these levee systems, so we believe we should hopefully stop most of the water coming this way. So that's what they're saying for that. Let's take a look at the tag Hurricane Ida and see what other news we can come up with that I can put on the stream, so I can get as much people a heads up and help them as much as possible. Okay, NBC News breaking: Hurricane Ida now forecast to strengthen to a Category 4 hurricane before making landfall in Louisiana on Sunday. 140 mile/hour winds expected before landfall. National Hurricane Center says extremely life-threatening. Storm surge of 15 feet possible in areas. So that's really, really dangerous. Louisiana saying the time to act is now. Hurricane Ida is now forecast to make landfall as a Category 4 hurricane. This will bring significant impacts to southern Louisiana and southern Mississippi. No major changes of the track at this time. Move just touch to the east. So heads up for New Orleans, NWS New Orleans as well. Alright. Biden said, this afternoon I held a call with the head of FEMA and governors ahead of Hurricane Ida to discuss preparations for what is expected to be a dangerous storm. If you are in the storm's path, please comply with local evacuations instructions. So, evacuation instructions, look in your area for the news and evacuate if you need to. Alright. This is from NWS New Orleans. Cuban radar shows Hurricane Ida crossing Cuba and showing no signs of weakening. If Ida maintains a good inner core, it will intensify quickly as it enters the Gulf. Don't underestimate this. If you're asked to evacuate, leave, or you're putting your life in danger. That's pretty much the message that I keep saying. Get everything you can prepared, grab the things you need, and go, because it is going to be dangerous. Okay, from Eric Holt-Tadas. This needs to be said, and I think now is the time to say it. Hurricane Ida is the most dangerous hurricane to threaten southeast Louisiana since Katrina. An evacuation order is in effect. Now is the time to help your neighbors find safety, offer help. This one is the real deal. So that's what I've been saying. It's going to be a serious storm, and lives are in danger. That's why I'm making this live stream. I usually don't make live streams. I usually make videos because it takes a couple of times, a bit of a time to edit the video and have everything loaded. But a live stream will get, it will record and it'll still be shared to people, but it gets the message across right away. And if I can save time and it helps people and it saves people's lives, then that's what's important. Alright. Darlene Superville said from New Orleans. New Orleans mayor calls for everyone outside the levee system to evacuate before Hurricane Ida hits Louisiana. Prayers up for Louisiana. This is serious and it's looking really bad. Okay, so Reed Timmer just posted about the slight nudge to the east with a Category 4 Ida landfall on Sunday evening, just southwest of Yuma, Louisiana. Likely most areas along the south of I-10 near east center of Louisiana will be underwater. So remember that if you're staying in the area, most of the roads in that area will be underwater and it's going to be very dangerous. So don't travel. Remember, don't drown. Basically, like, don't drive into puddles. Don't drive into water that you can't see on the roads where the road is, because it is very dangerous and you could end up flooding your car and possibly dying. So it's very dangerous. Alright. Simon Brewer. Hurricane Ida has relatively significant outflow channels over 3 quadrants and about to move over tropical jet fuel. SST is expected an impressive radar intensification next 24 to 36 hours. It's going to be quite interesting to see this intensify over water. From a scientific viewpoint, it's going to be quite interesting, but from a personal viewpoint, it's horrific because it means that so many lives will be at stake. Miguel Mandalorian says, hurricane tip: freeze your water bottles to keep your refrigerator colder for longer when the power goes out, and drink them as they defrost. I'm gonna share this one because that's a good tip to help keep your freezer cool once the power goes out. And here from Ryan Mew, it says, Hurricane Ida poised to become a massive major hurricane, rapidly intensifying over the warm Gulf Mexico waters. Reliable models indicating central pressure consistent with at least a Category 4. The model maximum wind gust over water 170 mile-an-hour winds. That is going to be quite intensive. That's going to be so strong once it reaches land and just smacks right into Louisiana. Prayers for all the storm chasers. They're going to be in the way of the storm. If you're a newbie chaser, please be careful with being close to the shore to try to film something and then get caught in the crossfire of a storm coming in and you possibly losing either your car or not being in a safe structure. Remember to be in a very strong structure because the winds will pretty much take anything. And if it takes your car, if it gets a roof and it possibly hits you, it is very dangerous. So be careful if you're a newbie chaser going into this storm. Alright, next from Russell L. Honore. Hurricane Ida, my recommendation is if you live below I-10 interstate, you need to evacuate as soon as possible. If you live in mobile home inside the cone of uncertainty, please evacuate to a shelter. IAW Parish leadership think like it's another Katrina or Gustav. Flood and the possibility of losing power. Ida is not projected to be a Category 4 hurricane when it makes the landfall on Sunday. Alright guys, so I'm going to end the live stream because all I'm seeing is previous posts that I've seen before. I just wanted to make this live stream as quick as possible and as much information as I can get. Here's from Mike Siegel. It says, the max wind gust potential for Hurricane Ida, power outages and structural damage in the swath of the core of the strongest winds. Keep in mind, 111 to 135 mile-an-hour winds equals an EF2 tornado. Round-the-clock coverage continues at the Weather Channel. Let's take a look at this image for max wind potential. So you guys can see, look at this, 110 plus mile-an-hour winds near Baton Rouge and Louisiana, New Orleans area right here. So that's going to be quite intense. 74 to 100 mile-an-hour by Lake Charles and Alexandria. 58 to 73 mile-an-hour winds by Gulfport and Hattiesburg. Look how much inland this is, and you still have 73 mile-an-hour winds. This is going to be so dangerous, guys. and then 58 to 73 mile an hour winds for Mobile, Starkville, Monroe, Shreveport, and Lufkin. This is gonna be such a disaster, guys. If this hits and is actually a 4 or possibly a 5, this whole region is gonna be totally changed. So, prayers up for Louisiana. Thank you, Mike Siegel, for sharing the information from that article, and God bless you guys. All I can do is pray for Louisiana, pray for the people in Cuba, and pray for the people in the way of this storm. Please pray for one another and watch over your neighbors. Don't forget to take your pets and get prepared. Now is the time to make decisions that could save your life or save the life of your loved ones. Please get out. Alright, guys. See you guys.